All right. Let's check. Are we live on Facebook? Let's check. Let's make sure. And we are public.
Not a problem. Okay.
Okay. All right. We are live and we are public. All right. I think let us begin our session. Dumelangi, Sanbonani, Thokozani, Khanya, Lisedi, greetings over the diaspora to those that don't speak the languages that we speak. Raleboga so much. Today we have an episode with a beautiful twist. Batswana. So today we're invited by Mme Dudu, or Dudu ka Setswana. Ka Setswana, she invited us here so that we can also... I see Dudu, I see Dudu,
I see Dudu, it's a combination,
today so that we can share the knowledge sharing sessions that we've been having on YouTube. So we're gonna try stick to the low vibrational language of English, just for purposes of people over the diaspora, but Sesotho here and there. And Kgosigadi utlong thusa ka Setswana because I see Setswana is very exciting more South Africa. But thank you so much to everybody go Botswana. Thank you so much for the people that are tuning in here, the spiritual G's, Raleboga so much. It is a Friday, so Raleboga, Matlhalona, Moyalona, and everybody else that is here. Kgosigadi, I don't know, do you want to say anything before
Thank you very much. Actually, thank you, because I'm happy to have you here. Personally, I've been very curious, very, very curious about the subject matter. I've been wondering, okay, firstly, 23rd of September, what's so significant about it? What does it mean for me as Botswana, Kohai, the way we'd like to refer ourselves? And just to give you a background, maybe, is that we're used to celebrating our new year on the 1st of Jan. Any Botswana would agree with me that when it comes to 31st of December, we relala voka, as in everyone does whatever they want to do. Some go to church, some go wherever they want to go, and but this is 1st of Jan. Now, when I began to want to listen to me more, I started questioning the fundamental things, and I'm like, but why are we what's resonating? Why are we celebrating on the 1st of Jan? I'll be busy that time. I would be making my New Year resolutions. I would be reflecting on the previous year, wanting to make sense. Okay, did I achieve what I wanted to achieve, what I set myself for? All of that happens on the 31st of Jan. But now, when I started asking myself all these questions, I think I came across your content specifically, and you were talking about, you were bringing these new words that it was the first time for me to hear such words as equinox. Like, what is that? So now I thought, okay, fine. We've got experts in these fields, what I call mankge. I think it'll be nice when I bring you on board, just so you come and speak to us. I'm clueless, so I'll be banking on you to educate us. First of all, just break it down for us. Why the 23rd of September? Why is it so significant to us as a people? Maybe we can just start it there and then you unpack it for us. I am the student. I actually have my notebook here. I'm going to be taking notes. And I hope that Botswana Kohai is also going to be doing the same. I'm excited. Thank you.
I'm super excited. Kgosigadi. Thank you so much.
I think you need to introduce yourself, because my audience might be wondering, who am I talking to? And I want to speak Setswana, please. I want to speak Setswana. Ke bua le mang, o tswa ko kae, and all of that.
No, absolutely. Raleboga so much yet again. There's a cute comment so far. We're international, baby. We really are international. So, Kalina, kena Mokgadi, Mokgadi wa Gamadi, ke ngwanyana Mopedi. So hence ke kopile Kgosigadi a tlo nthusa ka Setswana, because as much as there are close enough. Yeah, hunale manzu alewa buang
Of
is understanding now
of
in
course, yes.
person. So Kgosigadi, ke Mopedi, ke Mokoni. And on my other side, ke mo no ke re bina noko, re bina phiri.
Okay.
Ke setlogolo sa bona batho bao. Ke dula ko South Africa, go Soweto. That is home for me, but yeah, that is me in a nutshell. And also, I've just seen Kgosigadi just entered the room here. She said I need to speak more on my Bulobedu side as well as a Sipulane side. So I think for the longest, Nikki described her as a child with an African soul,
Okay.
because Kesatebe, who actually, okay, like who am I as a person? And which brings me back to the point, Mo ke batlang ho tjho hore, I like what you said, Hori, when you started listening to yourself, because you could hear, Hori, man, something is not in resonance with me at the current moment. So
Definitely.
I have a podcast. It's on YouTube, podcast that they name. It's called Stoned Queer Podcast. We have a whole episode explaining why the naming in that regard. But basically, what I'm all about is I'm into Black unity and Black healing, because Ralwala as a people. Ralwala, we are disconnected from who we are as a people. We don't know who we are as a people. So I think when I got into the seeking journey, looking for myself, because most of us regote in colonial environments, and some of us are still stuck in those colonial environments because we know these are things tse ba re rutang ka tsona ko ntlong, ore nako gae ba nrutile gore ke rapela so ke etsang. So these are the things that form part of the root chakra, which forms how we navigate life in Ayarona. So I was rooted in one of the Gregorian, not the Gregorian, sorry, the those Abrahamic religions,
Okay.
Christianity. So
Like most of
I've got,
us.
like most
Yes.
of us, so I've gone through different types of churches within the faith itself, and I've yeah, I feel like pointing a more. I'm like, these things don't resonate with me. Ke a utlwa, but a gona moya o tsamayang. This thing is not in frequency with me, So ke mo ke tholang in a space where I think when I was younger, ne ke ya- ne ke nka maeto, because I grew up in Pretoria, which is the capital, yeah, mo country. So I grew up in
Okay.
Pretoria, and I remember one time, kinka dates, I was in varsity, kinka dates. I'm like, no, I want to go back to the home that I grew up in, So I've always
Okay.
been seeking for something. And while I was still in the faith, the Christian faith, I remember one of my favorite scriptures, and I can still remember it. I think that Matthew 6:33. Yes, I still remember. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, So I'm like, okay, what is the seeking thing, What is the seeking? What,
So
like,
cute.
how do I do it, Because Renalu bua dinto, but nobody provides the how. How do I need to do this thing,
The navigation,
So
yes.
yeah, so I've always, I think, been looking for something, ke sa tsebe gore what it is that I'm looking for. And then eventually, and then I bumped into this content in Eritro and Pekang today. So we're delving into Kemetic spirituality because it's not the most ancient, but it's one way we can also relate to Yona, from our little words like Omameti, like certain dialects where you can tell her, okay, Haribwaso, and in Medunecha, which is the divine language or language of the gods, you will tell a familiarity nyana. So it's not the oldest civilization yarona, or the oldest place where we fetch our history as a people, but rekala from that angle, from a Kemetic spirituality, and also go into the word yet in Kemet, but different scholars have different opinions on what the word means. And le ba ba sa leng ko mafatsheng a rona, then go the Egypt kwana, which was Kemet back in the day. And ba re lwantsha ka yona, they don't want to admit
Okay.
where they actually, our ancestors, the ancestors of that land are actually black, So Kemet loosely would translate to land of the blacks, but like I'm saying, Honaldi squabbles in terms of that, yeah, hore, no, this is not your land. But these are the colonial things that they're still playing on us to displace us and to just disconnect us further from who we are as a people, So how can yona contenting in, we realize actually Rona as a people, we are the mother body of humanity, as long as only le melanin in, and it's not just the shades, because Ratseba, as black people, we appear in different shades of black, There's a Lona more Coco Botswana, you're more lighter skinned, closer to what they derogatively call Makoestani, but the calm people, or they did Badimo Barona, ba mo lefatsheng lena. So yeah, so then Maya, and so my quest was always like Kemang as a person, So I take on now these short little trips, ning. I'm like, let me go back to where my grandparents are from, So from Moche, Kante not knowing Hore, actually I am reconnecting myself to myself. Ke mohe motho sa connecta direto gore, okay, who are you as a person, because the youth would say our clan bars, but those things, how they tell you, okay, these are the people that I'm from. This is the kind of person that I am, And also in my younger days, I think more little thing like I had the saying, I get to be Lord Ginga guy. I don't have a conscious memory of Ginga guy, but it's a phrase, know thyself, and to thyself be true, but not realizing actually, okay, how deep is this thing? Only for this to connect. So I like saying the dots connect backwards in life, only for this to connect has now into this content. No man. Actually, that is rule number one of humanity, Tshwantse o ikitse gore o mang, if you don't know yourself, foka in all different directions, and I feel that is something very sad for us as a collective, So that is why I'm very, very big on Black unity, on Black healing and restoration of the Black house, because consistently we're disconnectiwa from ourselves, and imagine how sna identity ho etsahalang ka wena. So besides that, though, I haven't delved much into it, but I'm just in my lineage, they are teachers, even though they've expressed it babangi in terms of the religious ways. But Huruda Hare unpack the word itself is that of a teacher. I just got to read the comments. I see ho na le Mofokeng, okay, no le sedi bana beso, ke le jele ka tsebe, ke le Maokeng Kronstadt, Foreisetata, ke tlo ithuta le nna. Ra leboga so much. Kgosigadi le fentse o re shate le tebele le go nyane one reta ke leboga madume hle Motswana o montle. Motswana rona o montle ka jeko. Yo Botswana ba ga brother modimo montse. E re tlo bua ka yone bile. Please pass my regards to Juju Vine.
Juju Vine, hello.
Batswana just on another level. We appreciate you, Moshate, Warena, Barling in here. A leboga Kgosigadi, le Sereto, Mo. So she's one of my teachers as well on this journey.
Beautiful.
So introduce it to Mudimo Muncho, which is the Black God, Umweti Bukaya, Runa, Black Root Science. So yeah, when you're making the notes there, please get yourself this book, Black Root Science, because also Lady Buka that speak about us are not written by us. So we have the likes of Mudimunchum, we have the elder Malidoma, Nalinda De Credo, who's more well known, I guess, compared to the other gentlemen. So, but that's that led me here. And obviously, re understand who we are, but so this is content that I do in a nutshell. We also speak of things that are affecting Black people, so we have different features. So YouTube, Facebook, you go by YouTube, subscribe so that you get more content like this. And we have other elders and other great teachers on the platform itself. But maybe in the description box after we are done with our session here. But we are in a very interesting time, no. So I get to go Botswana, ma no like a heat. I get to go join
it's extremely hot, Gogo. And I just wanted to chip in there before you proceed into the crux of the issue.
Yes.
You mentioned something about direto or retamang o tswakai o mobina ing. Why is that so important? I want you to take it so slowly so that Harisi, our audience, and
All right.
they are really right with us. You said something very beautiful about knowing thyself. So is that also connected? Why is it important?
All right. So, like I'm saying, Hore, rule number one, when you are reconnecting to yourself, you need to know, well, breathing rule number one, you need to know who you are, so by virtue of being unplugged from who we are, Haritibi, we are embodying other people's cultures, and it's so unfortunate because in everything, whatever revolution that happens, whatever it is, a change that needs to happen, everybody would have to go back to Ribomang. Let's take the Chinese people, for example. They went through these whole systems that we went through, Babale, the Civil War, and all of that. But the one thing that they managed to do was just shut out, all this external noise, and I'm going to bring it back to home as well. Lamiti Remangope Akerlena. So he also managed to do such a thing where a preservang setso sa Setswana, and I think if we speak with a lot of people from here in South Africa, ka Rema Ngope, everybody would speak about him so fondly, even though it was in existence, ka dinako tsa apartheid, even though it was sort of perpetuating divide and conquer, but like it's Lona as Batswana now because of such efforts, the language that we are speaking, the language that rona tse re di buang, di na le vibration ya yona e different, that's why ke rata gore sekgowa se vibrate very, very low, that is why globally ba re foster gore re tlo bua puo ena ya bona, because the more you increase in word form, the more you increase in frequency of something, yeah, increase, and with that though, ba kgona go unplug, so these are the colonial effects more. We need to destroy the image that you have of yourself. Re tlo kgona ge go divert re go say in different ways, re etse what we want you to be, so if you don't know yourself, unplug you from your God state, so this is the content that we share to remind ourselves how actually we are gods as a people, this melanin, and like I'm saying, it's not just the complexion ya gago itself, but that ubuntu that we speak of here more South Africa kasingunu or botubo, it speaks of something even greater, something connected to the divine heavens, another rule that I go by as well, another thing that I go by is as above, so is below, as within, so without, So Tselengoma Kgodimong will definitely reflect down here on earth, So that is why also with a lot of healing work, we work also from internally, internally connected to the externally, the cosmos are connected with us here. What happens which is we'll touch a little bit on it. I don't think that calendar but we'll just give a gist of what the calendar is. There's a comment there that says Batswana. I am assuming that is denoting to the similarity that you would have here as a Batswana. But Kgosigadi above had mentioned ka Modimo Ntsho, or he wrote this book, yeah, Black Root Science. There is volume 2 a link thing, but I'm not too sure how available it is. But it's one of those books there would you read it over and over and you get a different message all the time. But these are the works outside of any political space, because I think another thing from who we are as a people, which formed our identity, because every clan, every family, because sometimes when I the family words, maybe go next door, they don't speak that same word, but that thing, yeah, it shows how unity has always been important in whatever it is that people need to do, So when you how ke tseba gore no ke Mokwena, ke kopane le Mokwena kwa ko Botswana, I know gore okay, no, this is somebody that I'm affiliated to, re na le madi a tshwanang. So those are the things selling important, our languages that we speak, your name that you speak. So I'm part of the generation A, trial generation rona, bana ba di 80s, where all these systems was tested on us, ba re file the Rainbow Nation and all of that. But it's so unfortunate because it seems that ba batla rona, the melanated ones, to play by yona Rainbow Nation when everybody else bona is preserving their own cultures, is preserving their own customs, everybody's playing the race game except for us. Rona ba batla gore pacifier and still take like things that important corona like lefati, without lefati, lefati is also part of identity, and these are the things ba re unpluggileng ko tsona, so le ha motho a etsa direto or ithakazelo ka siZulu, you can tell hore man le mafatshe a feng it belong to me, so that is why also in learning about setso sena sa lona, because I seem to be in resonance le Batswana of late, and I give thanks, go na le kgosi e nngwe ya re lwantsha ko platformong ya rona ha re qoqa tsona ditaba tsena, e batla hore Batswana ke bona that came first. But I think if we look globally across the diaspora, across Africa, because we're not a people that just exist in Africa or more the southern hemisphere, but lefatshe lena ke la rona, like lo lotlhe, wherever you go, if you trace it back, you will definitely find the body rona as a people, historically, whether o tla ya ko Buddha, the first Buddha, as you see, ba khathile ngwa gagwe to not show hore ke nko ena ya rona, ena ya batho, so
Okay.
but these are the things where whitewash also the history in Rona, and I know a lot of people think, okay, we are tired getting records of history, but I think it's so unfortunate for it's taken so many years to unplug us from ourselves, and then we don't want to give ourselves that grace to recollect ourselves, So I like yes, even the hair of Buddha, Kidi Bantu knots, if you can see, So everywhere historically, this color in this brown, so baka so to get so the color brown shows that we are one with nature as a people, So these are the things, mobile family, the contents abona, education yabona, the jota bona, a re sa kgona lo ja thepe as a people, because now we are immersing ourselves in cultures that don't resonate with us, I'm gonna go back to the example China. So these are the people that you would see hore bona ba serious about identity ya bona, ha ba teka-teki, everywhere they go in the world, ha ba ya ba re ba batla dijo, they will definitely go eat at a Chinese restaurant, versus us re batla go delve in this, delve in that, and not realizing that also food also impacts hore mmele ya rona e behave jwang, but we appreciate also the movement of us as a people going backwards, ba re ke sankofa re tlo kgona go itlhaloganya in going forward, we're getting a bit conscious more about the foods that we are eating, we're getting conscious about the consumption ya rona, the things that we are watching, the things that we're engaging in, and re fitlhella with a like-minded people, and it's really nice in the space here, because bare ragafa akere in the space when you are looking for yourself, but the insanity really should be how are you celebrating being so disconnected from yourself? What is there to celebrate,
Let me ask you, Gogo. You mentioned a mouthful, and it's a lot of things to consume at one go. And yeah, you are mentioning. I think we will have many sessions to dissect each and everything that you mentioned. You mentioned the issue of language, how English is low vibrational. You mentioned the issue of frequency. You mentioned the issue of setoboto. I mean, ke Motswana, and every time we talk about the Motswana setoboto, it's something that we hold so fundamental, even at national level. And although I think for now we're probably speaking about it only from a surface level, and we don't really know how deep this thing is really about. But the question that I want to ask you, Gogo, is if all of this thing was happening, where were we when we were being disconnected? Where were we? And did we just watch what happened, and why now? Why are we suddenly so excited or looking forward to knowing all of this? I mean, I'm also asking on behalf of myself.
Absolutely. No, ka leboga for that question, wena Kgosigadi. I think a re qale ka gore where were we as a people,
Were we
so
sleeping
in the
all this
space
time?
as well. In the space as well, especially when you're going into maybe dilo tsa setso, dilo tsa badimo, there'd be people who are asking questions, and I think I also I'm part of those people who are okay, badimo na bale kae when all these things were happening, were we silently watching and doing all these things, so I think one thing that we need to understand, we're getting e bohloko taba ya rona as a people, you know, how we staying connected to things that have nothing to do with us, you know. So the likes of these Abrahamic religions, azang datla ka peace, you know. And there's I think I'll share one of my favorite podcasts. So there's a podcast that give Vusi, but it's called Kwantu. Yeah, something like Journey to Kwantu. So he has a very beautiful episode where he covers also leady terms like it's about Botswana le tsona na, but in our country here, Kadi Thursdays, there is a culture ya hore ho na le bomme ba seaparo go iwa kerekeng on those days, you know.
Definitely.
So
It's like
the likes of Christianity didn't come very nicely, you know. Didn't come nicely how they say hore no, these missionaries came and whatnot, but a lot of people were gonna use terms like what unalived. A lot of people are unalived. The khomuta ba to dankiwa because who introduced things like Boma tax system, the capitalist system was introduced to us as a people, you know, looking into yes, Busi Ngande, yes. Places like Eastern Cape, so you know, Barry, if you're not gonna convert here, ukasiji, you know, and because of Botobori Buankabona, when Kgosigadi, we are very welcoming when people come to our spheres, when people, and even historically, you know, border. I know it's very sensitive at the current moment, you know, with all the chaos that is happening, but I could literally go from here, South Africa, go Ghana, you know, I go Ghana, but on Tabela, kgogo or something, you know. So we had that thing where we just welcoming everybody here. It's just unfortunate. Re na le lentswe ka Singuni, ba re abelumbi, which translates to tricksters. They will come, you know, and want to suck all this knowledge that you have, and next thing sabankile over mafatshe a lona, se go negotiate ka dikgomo tsa gago, ke dikgomo tsa gago, but people have an upper hand with dikgomo tsa gago, you know. And then if we take it to places like the content that we're going to be addressing today, places like ancient Egypt, Kapa Kemet, so you know, a lot of people came, some people like the Greeks, they studied and stole the content, but they didn't colonize the people. But then you get the other Abrahamic religion, like our Islam religion. So, for example, they get there, barre colonizer, and babatla go whitewash all this history in Elinyaruna. So it wasn't friendly, it wasn't, oh, okay, baptize me and all of that, you know. But it also got to a point where they put you more, even though barre it's gentle, but they put you at a point more. You know, it's literally, do you want to eat or do you not want to eat? And obviously now, with everything that is happening here, we have something about politics of the stomach, you know. So as much as we are trying to restore ourselves as a people and all of that, you know, we have terms like boma sellout and all of that. So I think those maybe by experiencing the physical effects of apartheid, you know, we're still feeling the effects to this day, you know. And people say, yeah, but why don't you get over it? It's been 30 years or however long. I can see how long it's been now. But such things, you know, when these colonial systems are 400 plus years, you know, trying to disconnect us from our God state, you know. So from the Puo Rona, from the hairs, you know, there was a movement, yeah, back in the day, I think Rona, Nabastrechiwaka, like the hot iron or you know, then came the movement, yeah, the relaxer. So there's a lot of dimensions where when you're thinking of re restora jwang ntlo ya rantsho, o bona hore yo mosebetsi mongata, you know, from we need to acknowledge hore moriri wa rona ke di antenna, you know, it's literally a connection in with the cosmos, which is what we also, what I said earlier on, hore as above so as below, you know, we are literally connected to Magodimo, you know. And with scholars like Bontate Credo, so they would say terms like Sibuya ezingulubeni, you know, meaning that we from the constellations, we from the stars as a people, you know. Le Tate Mathole Motshega also touched on this very important point, you know, yeah, what the pig would signify, which is the constellations in Atarona. I'm just gonna read the comments so far. Baba Rumela Kadi backpack full of cash. Yes, Habare Rekisa Rona as a people, politics of the stomach, and it's really heartbreaking, you know. So they get us to a point where renali also an individualistic approach to things, you know. Sekina for nasa for your wait hankanka million ena let me drop whatever it is that I'm doing, So halimpona one day se was something different. You guys give permission, little question how gogo khanti but it's those things where how a certain awakening, there's gonna be something where they will try to prevent it in that way. And I like saying, they design the system so well, this thing needs to perpetuate for Boma 5 generations, because like I said, my generation, so for example, it's very hard and for them to still be on board, and introduction of like a lot of things, like le bourgeois, we had bourgeois ba Sesotho kapa bourgeois ba Setswana, we were brewing stuff for ourselves, things that vibrate vibration ya mmele, not things that lower vibration. So such things were happening ka tsona dinako tsena tsa divide and conquer apartheid here, okay, we need to make sure no ha bontate ba batswa ko di train stationing ba boela ko gae bara mona, and they're gonna be drinking before they get home. They pacify us or they pay us an alcohol. So there's a lot of ways more bazamang gore suppressa rona as a people, and that is why we need to seek identity in our rona. And with the work that you do and Kgosigadi, and I think most people here in the comment section, most of them again, it's that collective effort for we're not coming with violence, because when you're telling them about actually you're a god, and man, I think, but anybody, like everybody will come in their own time, but for like you're saying, when you bumped into the content, you were somebody who was literally seeking this thing, so you're not air vibration, you vibrate, you get into contact with things that are in vibration with you. They resonate at that moment.
Alignment.
Yes.
Alignment is the word. So this is so exciting. I mean, okay, fine. What you are saying is that all the harm has been done. We've been brainwashed. We've been disconnected, but we are here now today, right? So where do we begin? Where do we begin to reconnect? We are just about 2-3 days before the African New Year. I want you now to start speaking directly to that. We are just about 2-3 days to the New Year. What should go into our minds? What should we be busy with right now? What exactly are we supposed to be doing?
No, absolutely. We'll get into that, Kgosigadi. I just want to answer the second part of the question that you had asked earlier on. What's it looking like right now? Why are we so interested in this content right now?
Yes.
So at the moment right now, I feel I think the awakening is here. Badimo Batsoga, and as with the education of Kgosigadi Lefenze, she made me cognizant to the fact from the book Yona Black Root Science, from 2012, bana ba tswetseng or ba tshotseng ka 2012 up until today, bana you can tell, like, if you've got little people in your house, the conversations that they're having, we went through all these colonial systems, not questioning anything, enter Libonama 2000, as much as they're not born ka 2012, but enter ma 2000, they're asking questions like, "Hey man, who is the Cecil Road person?" So who is this stage? But most of us, we went through all of that. Our parents went through all these universities. We never questioned these certain things. And for Nabadima, always say, no, this is high intelligence, divine intelligence, and it's just unfortunate, but to put into power these things that they want for us. So that is why also you'd see the awakening it is so frequent, and people say things like, "Hey man, everybody what twasa, everybody," and also not understanding the word itself. Twaso is not necessarily for moto oyangoli fetong. There's content you dreaming of that book falling from the sky, keep beginning and this enlightenment. So badimo, they are returning. Like I'm saying, if you got babies born after 2012, lead the conversations that you're having. And we are actually gonna have an event. Hopefully Babang Balona will be in South Africa. It's called Parenting the Gifted Child, because Rababona bana kibadim, it's like kibadimu the return, and this is how this restoration in Ayarona is happening, so we might not see the healed black house, We might not see the Black unity in our lifetime, but it is definitely, the system, the hour, speaking from perspective, yeah, globally, not just from a country in Kgosigadi. But I think let us get into a content and yeah, we'll handle the questions after. Please drop questions if you have questions, drop comments as well. Ra leboga for the likes so far. Yes, like I mentioned, the content that we're speaking of is something that is anchored on one of the tools that might assist us into reaching the state of Black unity in a. So we have a tool called the African calendar, which is basically re bua ka dilo tsa tlhago, re bua about tracing and tracking the movement of the sun, because how share balwena, when you're recollecting yourself as well, you will recognize Horaiman. What's working? How that? We can speak from but those who've lived in the UK, and they are of melanin origin. They would mention like these suicide rates they're quite high because it's always rainy, overcast, ramasedi. So ramasedi, this is our life source. If the sun was to decide, okay, bye, I'm dying, bophelo ba fela. So with the sun itself, well, yeah, I don't know if we'll have enough time, but maybe we'll have another session, just to go through the seasons. Okay, let's see how's the movement of the movement of Earth away from the sun. How does it manifest itself, to us, to nature itself. So this calendar is basically a solar calendar, which is when you're looking at historically and when you're looking also today's religions. I think all religions that exist today, they are formulated by the revering of the sun, or makhoa, because we are worshiping the sun, but also lari worship but so this was also in revering yona letsatsi lena, because you need to give thanks to somebody who gives you life, and this is what the sun itself does. The sun is a life giver, Now we see it manifesting go the planting rona, this melanin that you see in our plants, this greening effect that you're seeing. So it's this working melanin but in plants it manifests as chlorophyll, but if you are a scientist and unpack it, or now when you're going down, you can see everything boils down to your carbon. So also this season in I'll go back to the carbon factor, but that black that we see, this dark force Leona with these systems, but brainwash to a point more. We don't want anything associated with black, but not recognizing that black is actually a power in Ayarona. So this is what the sun does. It puts this chlorophyll in, DNA strain Yarona is binded by these hydrogen, by the hydrogen element itself. So this is another relation that shows us no, actually we are one with nature. If this melanin compound exists in the plants and it exists in us, so definitely mudimo ke mang ha se rona actually as a people. So so this is what the sun would do. It gives life to everything that you see here, but then enter now. So, but the sign would represent the masculine energy, and Harry Kalosaka's Koa would say things like, okay, because it burns, it's a fire element, related to these red elements, would say this is the expression of a mudimo in the masculine, and then enter Mwedi, our divine mother. We are currently still in the full moon, experiencing the full moon, and with Yona calendar now this tool that we are using here, as much as it's mainly based on the solar calendar or the movement of our planets away from the sun in Ayarona, other cosmic bodies, that affect the things that are happening here. We just experienced a partial lunar eclipse now, full moon as it is right now. So Ska will take it also back on a human level. So Mwedi is also very important. This is the expression of the divine mother, another divine feminine that we're speaking of, and that is on the rise right now, because in Tsamaya Kayona planet Kayona chakra the red chakra, which is the masculine one, and unfortunately Lefati is in so much chaos, because that also bred a lot of imbalance, because Bantite, the divine mother, Haria, to things like the Trinity itself, so the content that you see everywhere that is lying around, all the way to Habari Mudim, God the Mother, God the Holy Spirit, God the Son. So that is also another thing that was twisted by the colonial idea, which is also a patriarchal idea, where bantang matla amosadi in terms of creation, But with this restoration that is happening and this awakening that is happening, Rabona Horaiman, whether bako the US or bako the Kai, but the divine feminine is rising, and when you're seeing the Patha group that we have, Horaba Sadi, Baba Twarani so, because also we have the physical womb, which is the place of creation, as Batuba Babo Me, and when we are seeing what, okay, why kgontshitswe motho wa mosadi in creation, and ended up here where everything is misbalanced, and mosadi now in Africa is not recognized as something that was quite divine, something that was quite revered. And in bringing it back to the sun and the moon, so the moon is the one that controls the tides, ya controller hore, okay, a highly full moon, the water is how far from the shore itself, highly new moon, metata majwang. And as a people, well, we are made up of water. Majority of our being is water itself as well. We hear sayings like matla atswa ko metsing, so also denotes to how powerful water is, and taking it to yeah, I don't wanna add too many concepts today, but where life would begin. Life it's wakometing, ha re tlo bua ka yona, the season that we are in on the African calendar, and taking it to the spring equinox. Re tlo bua gore, okay, why do we say that this is where life came from? But also naturally, ke mang who gives birth, who is the actual God here? So the moon is the one that controls for, okay, how much hydrogen is the sun pumping? How much today and all of that. So this is in relation to the moon. And now when you don't have the moon as part of your creation, or the divine God house, then that misbalance that I'm speaking about, because the divine feminine, her eye on creation. So right now I think we're at a time where we recognize Amfore. Ke Modimo ntate, ke Modimo mme, ke Modimo ngwana, ha re bua ka Trinity, which is the original Trinity ena ya rona, but by whitewash along the ways. But you see the Roman Catholic Church, though, they still revere the Black Madonna, what they call the Black Madonna, and which are topics for also a different day. But how can in the Roman Catholic Church, how can that curse that they do? In Twareleng, no disrespect, but the cross that they do, they go the pool of water is there with the Black Madonna, which is Mary, the mother, and you'd see baby Jesus for familiarity. So these people, it's just us. That's why you know thyself, and the quest that you talk, no, ke batla something e ke tlhaloganyang le lona in tlhaloganya, because the 31 tsa December man for festivities is not making sense to me, so these conscious journeys that we are taking ke tsona know ourselves, so they use also our tools and everything else for run the world basically, without being too controversial. But these things that we are divorcing ourselves from, they do a lot of spirit rituals, which is what spirituality is, as Kgosigadi Lefente had taught, harere spirituality and breaking down the word. These are rituals of the spirit. We don't do these things, Instead, like I'm saying, a term yasizulu, but how nitawa kanjani ningenaland, harina lefatshe. Lefatshe is also another expression ya Modimo or re buang ka yena, and I liked what my initial teachers in this content are ko rona ne re as a bunch of us we're not gonna go anywhere as a people as if we have a different idea or different understanding of what God is, and I think that just clicked things into place for me. Man, God ke letsatsi sentle sentle, ke ngwedi sentle sentle, and all the expressions bakapi ba bona, which would say ke sedimo, and I think wena Kgosigadi. So in this expression ena ya Modimo, Like I've said, we're gonna speak from it from a Kemetic point of view, but let's come discouraged because ke dilo tsa rona le tsona tsena, you know, le tsona di crystals re di apereng ke tsa rona as much as le di yoga ke tsa rona as much as di phediswa ke batho ba bang, the Indians and whatnot, but these are our things here. So taking it to back to our African calendar, which is a calendar basically that shows nature, resonance to nature, you know, because you're not the 31 when Kgosigadi, there's nothing that says hore the one go nature ho etsahalang go ka di one, you know. So that ke yona this unplugging that I keep speaking about hore ha re tsamaye ka frequency e re tlameleng re tsamaye ka yona. The current calendar that we are using now, it's called the Gregorian calendar, you know, named after some outi engwe ba re ke Gregory, who is a pope, you know, and they decided yeah, bona the ones at January for whatever reasons that they decided on. But if you're not in resonance with nature, then uba wa tlhakatlhakana as a person, you know. So but with what they do a lot in the north, you know, and other indigenous people and other people bona makgoa ana bana ba rona ba re ba tswetseng le bona, they take they make rituals of these events, you know, these cosmic events, because it's not just hore ke di 23 wena Kgosigadi, yeah, ke new year, you know, but magodimo a bua le ona gore man ho etsahalang here. So, which is what we'll go into now, what the spring equinox is all about, you know. So, at the current moment, in the northern hemisphere, the autumn equinox, right? So, a lot of terms we're gonna flip it over and over. But if you are into astronomy and astrology, you know things like Boma Stasa ne Bare, this is a Naki Pisces, Naki Sagittarius or ing, but this is the stolen knowledge, like I said, that the Greeks they came by packager, how they packaged it, but to only to work for them in the northern hemisphere, you know. So as much as now Bariki the Libra season, but it's Libra for them, it's actually the Aries season for us, because re simolla ngwaga now, you know, you would see it now in nature. In nature now, I think was last week when a friend of mine came, Abu Sahoraiman, why is it literally just last week in J. And then this week, Harry approached the lunar, the partial lunar eclipse, and then the feyes and the beditlacha, you know. And so spring in the cosmos is marked by the first appearance. So not the constellations say two, but we'll touch just a bit on the Orion belt, which is the three stars that we'd see. And in the stolen text, it's on the stars they were guiding these three wise, but it's on the three wise men. So it's on these stars that it's lying on the Orion's belt, and then another constellation. It's called the Seven Sisters, but we're not gonna go too much into that. So the first appearance of those constellations, it's on Sangula, which shows how now Serele ko spring season in Arona, Resimola ngwaga. So with that emergence of now from these plants that were maybe seeds that were planted or that are now they start blooming now. Now they start showing new life, which is what spring is all about, you know. And when you flip it over, you see hore there in the northern hemisphere, there's people, there's celebrations that they host these people but celebrate a new life, because why would we not celebrate new life? Because Hona, no, we just come from a period Yamaricha, no holy dormant, there's nothing was growing, everything was just in silence, everything is dead, basically, you know, which is represented by the other side, Yayona, the god that we'll be touching on today, which when he appears as the black god, he's in hibernation, you know. But Kayona season A, this is the season where we're doing a lot of spiritual work, you know. So Horhari imagine now, the spring season, this is where now the work that you are doing, Kayona, the 6 months of spirituality, you know. And oh yeah, and I want to touch just a bit on lunar calendar, solar calendar. So our solar calendar is made up of the 12 houses, which is familiarity that you would see called the star sign, right? And then the lunar calendar, which I know Basotho, they use that calendar. So that is why bona basimula jaraya bona ka January. So if you've seen in the media, maybe you'd see hore Basotho hadir di wansa January, which is also not exact, because if re tsamaya ka tlhago wena Kgosigadi, it's
Mm.
supposed to be when the new moon would appear, but because we are trying, Shem, wa tseba ke sono ka rona di-gods, we are trying to realign to ourselves, but we still need to be parallel to the system telling thing already. But for consistency, I guess, and also for them to have that day mo ba celebrating hore man, new life ki ye malomo a thunya, everything starts being green again, restoration is happening. So we need to celebrate that, we need to take pride into that. This is what nature is telling us to do. Ra tseba le hore ka winter,
Exactly.
everything is a bit slow, nothing is growing. So when we're taking it to regular life, on Kgosigadi, this would be the perfect time if you've got new projects that you want to start, if you've got things that you've been working on, manifesting behind the scenes, things that we say we're thinking, I'm done here. Ke yona nako ya di-resolution, New Year's Eve ya rona e tla be e le ka di-22, So for consistency, though, we say the date, yeah, the spring equinox ka di-21, when but nature is not like us, it's not rigid. Nature would express itself how nature would express itself. I like what a friend of mine was saying. Ori, what's about this year? We are showed that we are perpetual students to the cosmos, because we're expecting to another first rains, the appearance ya Ryan, the first rains. We're expecting these ones, but they delayed because nature will express itself. Mudimo ta express the way Mudimo I express and by
Exactly.
Mudimo ina yona tlhago, But for
Yeah.
consistency and for us to get to a point where we can maybe start doing something collectively, when we're doing something collectively, le yona vibration ya yona ya increase, and we are getting
Mhm.
closer. Imagine if ne really a black unity, if ne re ratana as bodak, that's another tool that they use where ba re disconnecta from loving each other, for when I Motswana, I don't associate with you, not recognizing actually by virtue of us sharing your DNA, the strains that bind us, the sun that breathes into us, these antennas that we have, our coiled hair and everything else that says that, what, ke rona badimo ba nnete. These are the things that also ba re latileng ka tsona tsa disconnecting from ourselves. So we celebrate, this emergence of the sun, which is now coming back to the southern hemisphere, and this journey in isimula ka di 21 where now it crosses the equator from the north, it are now to the south. So on the day of the equinox, Kgosigadi, this would be now where the sun is shining directly on your the equator. So with that, the word equi is also another colonial name, but it basically means equal day. So equal, and then nox would be night. So the 12 hours of day, the 12 hours of night, dialekana, akgona gore, one is longer than the other. In winter, we know that we have longer nights than we have shorter days. So with this tracking and the movement of the sun, this is what it's basically expressing now. So Kadi 21, when Kgosigadi, it's finally crossing over, it's finally making the journey, starting the journey, and then Harry 23, Harry Happy New Year. This is now State, Ubuile Khaya, right here in the southern hemisphere, which is cause for celebration, And you're not how I get into also how do we celebrate these things, especially if we are all over the diaspora, but how do we revere this day, But I just want to speak maybe on the things that help us also align with the season. So for every season that we're speaking about, kunali moya oling thing, moya oling present, Leona unali resonance with certain things, from the stone, from the trees, from the incense, mukubetso or from the color that we wear, So I just want to touch on that maybe a little bit because yakabona our ya rona is almost up. Kgosigadi wa Kgantuli mona o re, don't forget the weather tampering that has been happening. We've seen the past few days that they've been trying to make it rain. Neta ya gana. Absolutely, absolutely. We have things like the hub project, where they're trying so much ebile go duplicate le bo letsatsi la rona, and but nature, I think it's late, the system tsa bona gwa fela ka tsona, it's just Unfortunately, it's not happening at the speed that needs to happen. But like I'm saying, Sidimo le Badimo, that's high intelligence. Kgang ya batho ba who are keeping us in oppressive states, if edile, So, oh yes, the season itself. So, season ena re bitsa ke the season of Ausar, which is what they would call the green god. So the representation of Fafe, if you've seen him in maybe illustrations, this would be a deity. Yeah, yes, in stese green, right? And I want to go back to the skin hake bonale plantaga here behind me. So this green that we see, this chlorophyll that we see in the plants themselves, like I'm saying, horke melanin. So if you can see like usually at the back here, these babies banally, right? So this is the original color ya rona as a people, before this is the original color.
I've always wondered what that thing is, you know?
Ke yona melanin ena, ke yona matla a gago as a
Okay.
person. I know you are a god here, you have that melanin. So if you have more babies, don't harass them, but just look nicely there. Obone, there's this green color here at the back, but this is the original color, which shows again our connection to nature directly, so which is your expression, yeah, this new life that actually begins Harike Namo Yona, the spring equinox, and I'm gonna touch also on the north as well, because we're gonna speak of the things that align us to the season in. So season ena ya rona ya spring kapa ya asa umvuseleli o motsusuluti Basotho but yeah, resurrection, the god of resurrection, the green god, god of new life, god of renewal, but also being cognizant hore we're not literally talking about a physical things, because I know somebody came out, you guys are starting a new religion. It's not, it's not a new religion. Ribwa about how nature and the cosmos express themselves, like I'm saying, hore, they would express themselves with a different energy, moya olinting at this current juncture as the air of renewal, now longer in bed because it's not so cold anymore. Now we are more active. Now we are putting the plans that we've been planning into action. No, re simolola dintho tse dintšha right now. So season ya rona ya asa e thoma ka di 23 September, but for consistency sake, for 23 September up until the 23 October. And then, yes, and mentioning her, okay, why re ke di 23 to the 23 when the next season is going to start at the 23 still. So, another thing, but unplugging from Yona, the time itself, a gona letsatsi le qalang ka 12 ya midnight. How does the day start at midnight when everything is still sleeping, So our day
And the
starts at
sixth month, yeah.
yes, our day is tataka when the sun rises. So that is when we count when our day starts. So like I'm saying, Hore, it's so hard being a god. We need to still live our truth, but still be existing in the system. So hanako ere 00 more. That's not the start of the day, but the day ya rona iqala ka 6 a.m. just for average sake, but it starts at sunrise to be more accurately so. So that is why the next season is asa fela ka di 23 and the next season lona e qala ka di 23 because e qala ning ka calendar ena ya bona, the Gregorian calendar, but after the sunrise then entering into a new season. So and then the color, yeah, the season, you're another color green. And if you're a spiritualist who works with energy and works with colors, Ratsebaliti color themselves, and also maybe science students, if you remember the little experiments we used to do, Ratseba gore man, color inali wavelength 18, so colors also have their own vibration, and also in spirituality they also vibrate differently, utathola bobo gogo le bomakhosi haba tlhatlhoba, ba re o berekise kerese e so, kerese e so is a representation of that, so we have on our platform here, we have a whole package, we call it the cosmic resonance box, where we just compile these things so that you can use them as tools for you to better align lady seasons in Atarona. But we'll have them ready. And yeah, if you hop onto our space and our social media spaces, you will see the things we are speaking of. And yes, we do ship to Botswana as well. And then the gemstone, which is these beautiful healing tools that It's a malachite stone, so it's a very but yeah, so it's a very beautiful, very powerful stone. You're not malachite in a stone, It's also used a lot in in
What is this?
manifesting. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. Shakrahana, Kati Kgosigadi, or Kgotsi. So it's the malachite stone. So it's a very important stone. It works with the heart chakra, So it works with the heart chakra a lot. But also it's another stone you can use for abundance, for prosperity, for renewal, for rejuvenation as well. So that is the stone Yona in a season. And then we get to the tree, about the plant of the season. So it's an acacia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
Yeah.
acacia. Nna ke tswa Pitori, so re na le pleke ba re ke acacia, but it's the acacia tree. So Leona, it's a tree also that represents renewal, that represents new beginnings, that represents and also in these books that some of us don't use anymore, but these ancient and sacred trees and spiritual trees, so this would be the tree that Yona season in. And then just gonna read it. And then the metal, okay, the iron metal, like I said, hore, we know melanin as well. There's other scholars who say, okay, we are corrupted now, because releka yona iron in, and we know horrible like foods like boma spinach and all of that. Dautusa if you are iron deficient as well. But this is the metal season in. And then the incense is the cypress incense. So it's also another ancient one, another spiritual one as well, that also helps you vibration of renewal, new beginnings, new life, rejuvenation, and just everything anew. And then the scent is cinnamon. So for those boma the kitchen witches, but those who use like normal herbs or regular herbs that you can buy over the counter. So boma cinnamon, we know that is also another prosperity element that we use. With other people that we directed no how pasa kapa o phahla, use add cinnamon, hlapaka cinnamon, or add cinnamon with this, So it's another nice nice herb that we're using, but it is in resonance the season in. So this is the opportune time if you are working on expressing abundance in your life, prosperity in your life. This is the perfect time to do that. Moya Oling thing, the energy that is currently available right now is saying yes. This is the perfect time for you to do this. If you started your things ka winter, maybe try the revival now, because I don't know, man. Now I think ever since being in this content here, we can see hore man calendar ena ya phela, how things are happening, and what we are sharing here, hore man. By the moya also we express us so, and literally you would see it, kana go ya chaos, you would definitely see the chaos that would be happening, when it's dormant time, when it's vegetation time, you would see it. But this is basically just the movement ya rona around the sun, how far the sun is away from us, and with this though, it's also linked to different planets, So we're gonna go back to, so those are the things that align with the season, and then I want to touch on the animals before before Rialololola. But the animals also that are associated with the season is the ram, which is the first, how about the zodiac circle, which is the very first animal. So the zodiac Leona, how we unpack the word and go the actual meaning of the word. So it's got the zo for zoo, from zoo, which would be animals. So we know Horbisasa and Akere, most of them they represent the animals, except for the scales, right? But also that we'll go into it in a different episode, why this one specifically it represents Wakadi scale. But all the energy houses, whether ki Aries, ki Pisces, ki Ing, they represent Wakadi animals. So the ram would represent the first one, the first house, the zodiacs, another the study of the circular study of animals, basically. So it's a wheel that we see. It's a maya counterclockwise, which I call the right way of life, because it rises in the east and it goes to the west, and you see the direction counterclockwise, which is the right way that rotation needs to happen, actually.
We are
So
learning. We are learning. We're learning. Like We are learning, honestly.
Yes, and then the other animal, which is why these people took this calendar for themselves, is the rabbit, you know. And with the rabbit itself, we would associate the rabbit ka fertility, ka renewal. But when does this happen? It happens for them in the north here, where bariki Easter period. I get man, what do these things have to do with the Easter egg? That's Easter, you know. So now we are unplugged, you know, so we need to, whatever it is that you're experiencing, we experience it on the opposite side. Like I said, it's supposed to be the Libra season right now, but it's actually the Aries season, because rona ra simolla jara ya rona, we're starting, and nature says we are starting. And that please share your YouTube link so I can follow and subscribe to more of your content. I will absolutely do that, my king. Mantuli ore ke nako ya go alafa tlhogo and the brain. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if we'll have time to share just a little story on that. But yes, ke yona, remo ra fola ra alafa in the season, ra alafa ditlhogo tsa rona right now. And yeah, so this would be why the rabbit or the bunny is associated with the season as well. It's because for them it's a time, yeah, new beginning. So it's associated, we know bunnies, you know, there's these silly sayings, but they humping like rabbits, because I get it, the rabbits, they produce a lot of babies at the same time. But this is the principle, this is basically a principle of fertility, you know, principle of newness. And asa, the consort to Asa is Osetki Mudimume. So these are the direct opposites of each other. So if you're a Libra, then you need to look into the house of Aries. If you're an Aries, also look into the house of Libra, just to see that resonance, you know. So this is what also the equinox would also denote, you know, that balance of energy, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, you know, because the planets selling present right now, that are active right now, the house, yeah, Mars, Mars that is present, which is what governs the house, yeah, Aries. And then also the house, yeah, Libra is governed by Venus. You know, they say women are from Mars, men are from Venus. But that is basically yona, that balance of, so got the equinox, that's energy kayona, when the actual day happens, the energy of the divine feminine, the divine masculine happens kayona, the spring equinox ya rona, e re reng e tlo qala ka di 21, but more accurately for this year it's on the 22nd of September. But we revere it from the 21, like I'm saying, or the movement back 100 to the southern hemisphere, going to cross the equator, starts kayona di 21 tsena. But basically the principle ya yona, like I'm saying, ya asa is renewal, and the function is germination. So germination in simple terms just basically means the process from going from seed to plant. Ska re bone gore they have bloomed, you know, if you've got trees in your yard, please have plants, please have trees, you know. So there is another way also, we can also be in reverence to your new beginnings here, you know, whether it's also the indoor plants or go hug a tree, you know. My friend who's here in the comments here, yeah, we did this hugging of trees, you know. Let's all laugh, because they are part of us, and when they're bringing new life, you know, that also it will get up frequency coco hope or healing the brain area carry it coco au ngwale mo hape new carry
Renewal, as in germination.
Re sa teka e ka sepedi mare re atla mo re atla, but basically renewal of the mental state. Yeah, so Mantuli Gape Ore, yes, this is the right time to be having these colorful Easter eggs. Yeah, so right now, if di holidays tsa bona, this is supposed to be the Easter time for us
But
now, you know.
hold on, hold on. Yeah, hold
Yes,
on, Gogo. I don't want to confuse myself or Motswana Kogai, because I'm here representing a typical Motswana. First of all, okay, fine. I want to believe all of us come from a Christian background. Easter, obviously, Easter is associated with the crucifixion and all of that. In our minds and in our thinking, we're thinking, okay, the Easter thinking is not even biblical, but we see it coming through around the Easter time. We are trying to reconcile. It's like there's a whole lot of reconciliation that has to happen, and you are there thinking, but Maya tsena ha kae go Easter go crucifixion go eng. Right now in this conversation we are saying it's time for those eggs. Please just quickly just
Yes.
touch on that
Yes.
whilst I get my charger.
Yeah, so like we're saying, Hore, everything inverted for us, So, bona spring equinox, yako north, it happens ka yona Easter period. So how the Easter period is determined. So after the spring equinox, so the first Sunday after full moon, yeah, spring equinox, Kgosigadi, ke yona what they would say, ke yona when Easter period in the Christian faith would be starting. You have the other religions that are also Abrahamic in nature. Let's on Aboma Passover, would be happening ka tsona dinako tseo. So tsona mae ao, this would be also in relation to this fertility principle that we're speaking of. So it's just unfortunate for them ka north ke yona nako eo where the whole world re tlo tsamaya re re ke Easter period, but for us that is not when our our no, like resurrection, I say crucifixion.
Resurrection.
Crucifixion is all yeah, but that whole ceremony, I can buy Riviera in the whole weekend, yeah, there, right? But Rona, where a Jesu I crucify thing is the period where now Asa or not one kind of the green god appears as the black god, which is now the period in a hibernation. So you'll see a lot of similarities, and we'll touch on this religion, and not to disrespect it or anything like that, but just for familiarities. A lot of us are coming from your background, So that's the whole resurrection yona the right the awakening of Asa yona period ena. Mudimu naliko hibernation, mudimu ntante naliko hibernationing, and then there's these rituals that they do mudimu me, as well as other deities also involved in this whole ceremony, in the celebration ya newness. Bamo resurrect Asa, I get about after 3 days. That is why also later traveling ya rona ya letsatsi back in the southern hemisphere in Guyana, the 3-day period. So this is our sacred knowledge, but it was twisted just for their benefit. So Gogo is also confirming there that the eggs would represent fertility, and the bunnies themselves also another principle, fertility. But this fertility regarding the eggs is related to another ancient Easter, which comes from Esther, which is another goddess that would represent fertility. So a lot of things are coded and encoded. So, but if you are very curious, or this content does find you, when you go down and open all these rabbit holes, you can see, man, okay, man. You know what, Rona, as a people, Rona Batswana, we never did things for just in J. There's always a reason why Reta dilo, like I was mentioning earlier on, Hore, le mafoko a rona, they speak certain things, they vibrate with certain in a certain manner. We don't just do things, we don't just name things as much as really disconnected. So that is why it's also very important. You need to insist on your name, like how Harry in our session, you need to insist on your name. Don't you have an easier name? No, I don't have an easier name, because Lilo Nalibito Le, as much as you have maybe a sacred name with your mother there, or Libito La Cosidimo, but that name, it has an actual meaning, either the expression or baru umapule, because hunile pula for us is quite sacred. In the season, Rona here in South Africa, we're experiencing rains. We don't know Botswana, but we're experiencing rains right now. The spring equinox, the moon has been out for the past 3 days now. Yes, this is the third day now. We experienced also, Leona, that the change that was happening now from the latency period, where everything was still and in hibernation, and then transition. Nakayona, this lunar eclipse, and what the ancients used to do back in the day with the current content that we have, Arasoyi very deep in there. But Hakupita, maybe an eclipse, so everything would be standing still. And it's very interesting that it happens every year. Kabona highly season in, like there should be either before or after, or at this very present moment where Khutobali some sort of eclipse, which also now shows okay, repeatedly at our ending here, because the season before this one is called the new season or mophethahazi kapa umpethikazi, where everything now is coming to an end, give the beginning and the end of things, and it is residing in the Pisces house, even though the Gregorian calendar season re tswang ko yona ke the Virgo season, or we're currently still in it, ke the Virgo season, but it's actually the Pisces season. And for those who study astrology and astronomy, they know hore the Pisces season, this is the last house in the zodiacs, right? Which brings me back to how do we celebrate this season in Aya Asa? How are we ushering in Mudimu Ntate, Mvuseleli, Mutsusoleti, Mona, ka yona season in. So there's different ceremonies that are done, but with the before, so what we would usually do, or what we've done in the past, but what most people do, and what the ancients used to do, konali mokete o re o etsang, re bitsa spiritual 626. So rona re gola nona le bo Ausar rona le babuti ba rona na ba ya go di 626 ke di bash, so rona ke yona spiritual bash ena rona, so from sunset, yeah, the 22 before yona the new year. So every hour would be dedicated to moya e kapileng Ramasedi, It's just unfortunate we don't have enough time to go into the whole story, yeah, Ramasedi. What do we mean by every energy house, these 12 houses, dito, like moya ona is divided into 12 again in the zodiac wheel, and everything, from moya wa vegetation, moya wa, but let's use normal terms, bo Aries, bo Pisces. So every hour has its own dedication. Every hour has its own um hymns and reverence, because now we are putting back Asa. So in the story, I'll just touch on it for just a few seconds. In the story, and those who are familiar, the Lion King as well. The story, the African creation story, is basically, I mean, the Lion King is based on the African creation story, but the story, yeah, the Lion King, the story, yeah, Bo Simba and Limonala. But when we're taking it to the content that we do here, this is basically now where Mudimu Omotala, the green god, right? He has a brother, the brother Kiset, and I think maybe let me start with the lineage thing, Handle. But in creation, there's what we call Atum. This is the first element, but in the expression, the physical world now, because creation would happen in 4 stages, but this one needs its own episode and a half. The 4 stages of creation, but it happens in 4 stages. And then this asa yena expression ya gage e fihla kwa the third phase of creation, which we call in our content rostao, but this is basically the horizon of the spirit, or this physical tangible world, things that are manifesting ka yona ka that third phase ya creation. But at the top, asa is part of the group of 9 gods, yona, this third phase of creation. So at the top we have an energy called atum, which now when we're looking at it from science, barike atom, and we know atom is the smallest thing that you will find, smallest element that you will find. And we go to the Bible itself, bariki Adam, again, bariki the first man, ke Adam. And this is basically from these principles, tsena tsa rona. But this is atum, and from atum, ho tla le expression ya moya, modimo wa moya, which is Shu, go tle le modimo wa metsi, which is Tefnut. Now these 2 gods, and I'm gonna refer to gods, but please don't think it's idolatry, ne? But these are principles that we need to understand. This is how modimo I expressang ka teng, kapa sedimo se expressang ka teng. So ke moya le metsi, and from that birthing now, go fihla Asa or Set, go fihla Heru, go fihla Heru the elder, go fihla Heru ke ngwana wa Asali o Se, go fihla Heru the elder, and then Heru the young ke ngwana wa Asali o Set. But I'll go slow. Let me go slowly. So
I was
shoot,
gonna ask that
Tefnut,
ga kuna maina ana mo Setswaneng, or at least a language that
yes,
is closer to
absolutely, yes. So Shu ke modimo wa moya, Tefnut ke modimo wa metsi. From there, go tla Gep ke modimo wa lefatshe, kapa sedimo sa lefatshe, expression ha o bona lefatshe ke modimo wa lefatshe. This is Gep, or umhlaba ka Singuni. And then we have Nut, which is the current season that we're in, which is the final season calendar. Nut ke na mophethahatsi, Nut ke nzala bantu, Nut ke yona ha re re ntu, ha re re botho bona. This is that cosmic body that you see, lefaufau, ha o le bona, so that is Nut. That is yona expression in ya Nut, the sky goddess. It's called the sky goddess. So ke yona mabitso a rona mophethahatsi, or nzala bantu, or motswala batho. So these are the how nature would express itself. So these two gods, Geb le Nut, ne, Modimo wa lefatshe le Modimo wa lefaufau, they are the ones that birth these 5 houses. So Asa le Oset, which are consorts, so the Libra and the Aries house, birth them. And then Hotle Neptet ke Musireletsi. Musireletsi ka Setswana kapa umvikelikazi ka siZulu. And then Liset ke Mosinyi, which is a very necessary force. Ke Mosinyi kapa umbhidlizi ka Singuni. So now when we go back, and then there's Heru the elder that is also born here. And then, well, I think Kgosigadi wena di tlo hloka the episode just to unpack
Clearly,
the
because
principles
it's
there, because
it's a whole
yeah,
lot.
because I think at times we tend to away from a point of knowing, not understanding
Yeah.
Horman. Actually, this is
And
new content for other
what I would
people.
like for you to do, Nkgono, ke gore you really need to start it from a very foundational, fundamental level, because
We will do that.
yes, definitely.
No, we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do that. But
As
we
if
just
we
don't
know
want to miss.
nothing, like zero. We know, like we're starting us like afresh from scratch. You know.
No, I've got you, I've got you. Yeah, so but yeah, nerbata work as Spring Equinox today, but just to unpack like these principles handle, I think re tlo
Yes,
hloka, like
definitely.
these
Mhm.
kind of sessions like individually. So but absolutely we will do that. We'll do that. And learn episode A will put on YouTube for the ones basnang the Facebook as well, just to yeah, delve a little bit into this. Where were we, Konje? We touched on the house of Aries. We touched on new beginnings. Nerel guy wena Kgosigadi, I
We
think.
were at Hore. This God is the mother to the 5. We were there.
Okay, yes. So Asa, yes, in the third phase of creation. This is where Asa would be appearing now. Kayona, the physical world, you know. So like I'm saying, we express in different ways in the chlorophyll, in the plants, in the plantation, and us, and everything else. Kubabala comment in on Kgosigadi.
Mhm.
I think we have to stop apologizing for setting the record straight, because they do not. They call this eye-opening session a conspiracy without even thinking twice.
Definitely.
Ba hita fela di-coins wena kgaitsedi yaka. No, ke a leboga le ntshwarele for butchering Setswana there.
Yeah, don't worry
But
about
I get the gist. Yeah, no.
yeah,
Yes, one of my teachers, she likes saying that we need to stop being apologetic and
apologetic.
what's this, and sympathizing with these systems, because
Mhm.
I did it very clearly, you know, re in misalignment a whole lot, you know, when you're
And
supposed
this
to be
is the
doing
reason,
celebrations.
definitely. And this is the reason why, Gary, you need to start it from fundamental, because
I
the
will
brain
absolutely.
actually has gone to to some extent that even when you just talk about simple things as badimo, there are still places and times where you need to like conceptualize this badimo thing, break it down. Someone
100%.
it's so demonized that just for me, even me right now, I'm sure I'm going to be getting a lot of calls from here to say, Padimu, what, demonic, horoscopes, all of these things, they are demonized to the extent that when I come out like this and talk about them, it's like it's taboo to speak about them out boldly and loudly like this. So I definitely agree with that.
And it's so sad, because these are literally it's already principles that work at in a lady, you know, things that you can tangibly see, you know, not things, not, you don't have to brainwash yourself, or you know what, I can believe in a like a mohar, you know, you don't have to believe it. You can actually see what, okay, dina lady this, or you know, even like today, in today's days, we give thanks for you know, this destructive technology, but there's certain apps where you can literally point it to the sky or one constellation eling mona ke efeng, you know. So but tsona le tsona di horoscope tsona tsena comes from our own words, you know. It's the horoscope, the all-seeing eye, you know, which is also another representation that you'd see. Yeah, now this principle is speaking of, yeah, asa, where you would see sometimes like a statue at the an eye and a throne more, which would represent yona this all-seeing eye, which represents yena Mudimo of all, because he is a firstborn, yeah, yona, all these siblings. So just to go into the, I think Arikwale in 6 minutes when Kgosigadi. But Balo Friday, Balo solstice, solstice, not solstice, equinox. But from these 5 principles, Asali Oset, Giri consorts, so they directly opposite each other on the zodiac wheel, and then we get Neptet, Liset, Musini, Limusirele, Tuarona, and these things they are berekisana, so the whole yin yang effect that also comes into what other people use as their spiritual basis, because our lower selves, our higher selves, which is what this calendar is all about. We're all about ascending to this higher self in Nayahahu, going from these the animalistic. No, let's leave a but he's the eldest child from Gepli Nudes. But now the brother said now, and this is mythology. We use mythology just to understand certain concepts, ne? But some scholars believe these things really happened. But in my expression here, it's just helping us to understand the principles. So Set Ubolaya Abutwachache, which is Asa, the green god, and in the season ya Set, this is when Rere now he is the black god. So he is in confinement where nothing is growing, which we mentioned earlier on, where nothing is growing, everything is dormant. But what we physically do, Rona, we literally do things like Boma shadow work, reflect, we are recollecting ourselves. So that is so before I'm Mulai when Kgosigadi, who said scatters the body parts, almost chopper into 14 body parts, but in restoring Asa, going into the season in Asa, only 13 of those body parts are found, which also in its own episode, immaculate concept. Yes, immaculate conception, how I get about it, Jesus was born from Mary the Virgin. So literally with this movement around the sun, this is basically collecting all these body parts that were scattered all over the world, and the collector the other sister Neptet, and in that they put back Yena Asa, which is the ceremony I briefly mentioned earlier on, more on the final day in the nude season. This is where now every hour is dedicated to different principles. So the principles to, and then at the end in the rising nude, and in that though it just denotes to the ceremony that Asa that Oset Linepteti and other gods, what Jehud as well. Jehud needed to provide the words in the spell making remember Asa, So which is what we are doing here when Kgosigadi. By speaking of this content here, we are just the word remember. This is the body parts, because by the house, like I'm saying, Ning Ning, you need to deal with the hair issue. Ning Ning, you need to deal with it. Let's not bleach our skins, because melanin and Ning Ning, you need to deal with the food that we're eating. So there's a lot of body parts about Rona as the black people. So basically with this content that we're doing here, we are putting ourselves together. We are going into the Asa state, renewal. We again, and as Kgosigadi mentioned in the comments earlier on, she spoke about so in this season as well, we focus a lot on the crown chakra, because again at the beginning now of creation. So we are going into month 1 when a new year in celebrated this year how you would normally celebrate your 31 vibration thing.
Screaming alone, Dogo. The thing is, we are not here yet. It will be
yes.
going to be very
upset. But now you cannot not celebrate. Or now whether you're gonna say thank you to all the deities, whether whether you're gonna cook a beautiful meal for your family, whether you go around telling your friends for a happy new year. But let us collectively do this thing. This is a really, really big day. And Letati is back down here in the southern hemisphere. But that is what the spring equinox is about, and we apologize for these bombastic concepts. But rona tshwarang fela gore re kena ko new year as confirmed by the cosmos, as confirmed by nature, as confirmed. You know, if you're in tune with yourself, man, something new is happening here. The last comment for Kgosigadi before Kwala. You are explaining the elemental forces of creation: Asa, fire, Set, earth, Heru, Ur. I forgot Oset, the air element, Neptet, Knu, which is water. Yeah, so basically it's one of those four elements that we're always speaking about, Mare, earth, fire, air, earth, fire, air, what's the other one? Water. Yeah, so those four elements, it's on those phases of creation that I was speaking about. And Kgosigadi wa leboga here, but wena mme bathong ra leboga so much for this session. I know how it got, but I think we have a series on the YouTube channel. We'll share it also in the description box. So you can go just pace yourself. Ebook ya rona will be ready tomorrow for the season asa. So if you just want to understand what we're speaking about here, ka pace ya gago, we have an ebook, but the information you'll find it on the social media spaces. So on this page here, got this account, you'll find it here. You'll also find it on Stoned Queer Podcast, which has its own Facebook page, because Botswana, you guys are a lot more on Facebook. But if you go on the YouTube page as well, you will definitely find it. There's past seasons that we have done as well. Hey, Tobin, if you want to get the things that will help you align with the season, just also make just go check out the website, go check out there's also the YouTube shop as well if you want to purchase that. The ebook is only 55 randa. I think dollar lipula is not too far from each other, ne? Yeah, but it's 55 rand. Yeah. Rona fokola economy rona. So, but if you just want to understand these concepts a little bit better in your own pace, and see what other rituals are involved, and rituals, do not take it as how it's been so sinister, but these are spirituality, rituals of the spirit, reciting, doing a sun salutation. That is a ritual of spirit, that is you the blockage of energies, when you're doing practices like yoga, which is things that we'll speak about when Kgosigadi as we engage some more. But thank you so much for those who spent their Friday evenings with us. Thank you so much to those who are fasting with us as well. Thank you for those who are, sharing this content. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the comments. Thank you so much. By the Quiet House, but thank you so much to everybody that is here. And we had intended we'll do a bit better and make it an hour the next time. But but please go out and celebrate those who are in Johannesburg, and you're not going to Mpumalanga. There are events. We will share them on the social media spaces as well. There are events. Those who still want to join the Kemet Forum Boys, they're going to Mpumalanga. We did share the contacts, but wherever you are in the diaspora, even if you are in the north and you just want to celebrate with us, please absolutely do that, because this is the mother Podakere. Y'all like saying that this is the motherland. So just to increase vibration, like I'm saying, whether you're gonna do gratitude things, but just give thanks for the year that we had, Haserikwala, the old year, and going into this new year, start those new ventures that you said you want to start those new businesses, those who are starting a new job. I know Kgosigadi is starting a new job, another season, and chances are, because moya oling present right now, energy eling present right now, kapeling prevalent right now, it's supporting all these newnesses that you want to do, all these new things that you want to do, all these things that you've been doubting yourself, right now. Take advantage of moya oling if what's happening. When I just just hop on and just do what it is that you need to do. But thank you so much, but for hearing the call. We know with some people it's very hard also to associate ourselves to such content, you know. But I think when your spirit recognizes truth, you know, Luena, walega, but it's not like waigeta, you really you're in resonance, you know. And I think also knowing about yourself as well, I think it's one of the most beautiful gifts that you can give to yourself. But ke a leboga Kgosigadi, bo Ngwako, bo Mantuli, ra leboga bo Kgosigadi le Fentse, Magobs lena o teng, bo Ntate Mofokeng, wa tseba keng, all totems ra leboga, Bafokeng, Barolong, Bataung, ba all tribes ra leboga, Batswana. So much. Ankan Ma'at to everybody. More life, more prosperity, and more wealth and health. Let us get the prosperity. Asa season, So thank you so much. Abundance and peace. Kgotso le kgutso to everybody. Sobela.
Thank you very much. Ke nna ke lebogileng thata thata thata. First of all, I can only just say, meaning that if we have to just attune ourselves to this whole, I'll say 23rd September, as you said, nature is not as rigid as we would like it to be. But going forward, this is the beginning. Next year, we are taking it to another level. By that time, a lot of us now would be attuned to this whole African New Year, and we're going to be seeing a whole lot of people joining us for the collective and raising the African vibration and aligning ourselves and becoming or getting in tune with who we really, really are to the core. I mean, I don't think there's anything as nice as knowing who you are, you know, getting in touch with your roots. I don't know. Otherwise, we are floating. Otherwise, we are just there. We just in jail. So, but we don't want to do that. I really, really appreciate you, Mkhono. I called you at last minute, and thank you for also giving me the courage, because like I said, I'm not doing this for the socials. I was feeding my curiosity. I've got questions. I wanted to know what this whole equinox thing is all about. And I'm sure Motswana Kontlong also has the same feeling. What is this? You know, and thank you very much for coming through, enlightening us. Obviously, you've touched on a whole lot of topics. And I think Mudimu o tla re fa nako ya gore re di dissect and just chunk them out, chop, and then
no, absolutely,
so that re di tseye ka boripana ka bokgabane, you know, and just, you know, enlighten ourselves and grow as we go along. And with that, I really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate your audience as well. We have South Africa in the house. You are excited. Thank you
so much, you know, for the collective, for the black healing, for the black, you know, it's man. But Uncle Ma'at, thank you so much yet again to everybody. But yeah, if you got just one thing from this, I know we spoke about a lot, just know that it's the beginning of new life. Now, new year, you know. Happy New Year, everybody. Tabela.
Thank you, Gaga.
Thank you.